What up, y'all? So let's do a tier list. I'm gonna take a break from this soon, but this is fun. I got some topics I want to do. So I want to do now our tier list for today. Oh yeah, first check below. I got links um, for my online coaching services, fitness coaching services. Y'all know the drill. Just check it out. You can set up a free consultation with me, things like that. I help you get results. 15 years experience working, 15 plus years now. Um, But yeah, also check out my other channel. I got to put a link down below. I'm gonna start uploading on pretty soon. But yeah, today I want to do a fun topic. So 16 types who will make the best villains. Um, Now by this, I'm talking about who will make the best villains. I'm not talking about who is most likely to be a villain. I'm talking about the best villain. Like who would do the best job as being a villain. Who would be most successful at it. All just for fun. Um, and like, yeah. But yeah, let's get to it. Um, but yeah, y'all know the drill. Oh wait a minute. Whoops. Just like before, you got S, goat tier. You know what I'm saying? F, worst. You know what I mean? So hold on, let me get this out of the way. Anyways, first up, ENFJ. Would ENFJ make a good villain? Um, they don't really view themselves as villains. Um, though they can be villains, they don't. They never really view themselves as villains. They had a nickname, the antagonist. So yeah, pretty much what that means is, all right, pretty much what that means is they don't view themselves as the villain. So even if they are the villain, they ain't gonna view. So it doesn't mean that they can't be the villain though. I don't want y'all to get that confused. But would they be successful villains? Yeah, I think they could be. The way that the type of villain of ENFJ would be, they would probably be a cult leader or something like that. I could see them being a cult leader. Um, oh, I wonder if y'all can see that. Hold on, let me change something around. Let me move myself over here. Okay, y'all can see. Okay, ENFJ. Yeah, they probably make a real good cult leader or something like that. That's mainly what they would be as villains. Um, because that leader at fee can be dangerous with they can inspire crowds and they can things like that. Um, Inspirational leader. That's what I say. That's what I like to call them. So I put them. Let's say A tier. A tier. Yeah. Oh, ENFP. ENFPs can be kind of ruthless as villains. Now, would they be good villains? That's hard to say. I say I don't think they'd be the best villains. Maybe go be well, since they could be if villain is a ENFP as a villain, since they could be so ruthless, they can go pretty high. Like they could be pretty brutal. Like in contrast, it's very surprising too. It's a huge contrast to how their nature would be with unhealthy ENFP. So I'm thinking as a villain, they could probably be pretty good. Probably be good at manipulating people and things like that. I can't really think of any ENFP villains off the top of the head right now, but I'm pretty sure there are some. If you guys know some, let me know below. I say B tier. I think ENFP would make a B tier villain. Um, ENTJ, ENTJs, man, most fiction in most fiction, ENTJs are the villains. They will make the best villains by far, because they wouldn't get caught. Because they that villain, they like 10 steps ahead of the hero, and they pretty much are unstoppable as villains. Only way that their biggest weakness though is like an ENTJ. You'll catch an I was talking about this with a subscriber actually recently. Um, Kind of inspired me to make this video, but ENTJ is a villain. Only time they get caught is if when they start getting real cocky and they start thinking they ain't gonna never get caught. They won't notice when people are catching on. That's when they typically get caught in fiction. But like they say, art imitates life, so there is some truth because even though it's just fiction, but there's some truth in that real life. Most ENTJs are not villainous though; they're pretty nice people. They're some of the nicest people you'll meet though. Most ENTJs in real life, but they will make the best villains by far. Let's put them as tier. ENTPs. ENTPs would be, I think they make pretty good villains. They got that mischievousness, be causing chaos. Like you think of a villain like that, like the Joker. Let me try to think of some more. That's one. That's probably the main ENTP villain that comes to mind when you think of ENTPs. Uh, but there are quite a lot of ENTP villains in fiction, but they do a pretty good job causing chaos. So I put them up there with ENTJ. Say S tier. You know what I'm saying? ESFJ, not common. They're not common villains. Um, but they definitely can be villains. They don't really fall under the villain category. They really will just follow the asshole category. Like they could be assholes, some of them. Like they can be pricks and they can be kind of hard to deal with. Like unhealthy ESFJ, they'd be real hard to deal with. But villains, I don't know if they think big enough to be villains. But they definitely can be. They can be a villain's henchman, pretty much. ESFJ would make a pretty good villain henchman. Um, I say B. Let's say B. Um, ESFP. Oops, what happened? Oh, ESFP. The thing with ESFPs don't think long term real well. They will move pretty sloppy as a villain. I think they if they try to be a villain, they get caught pretty quick. I don't think they be pretty really good villains. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be as prone. They just as prone as anybody, but they suck at it. I put them at F tier because they just don't think like they don't think steps ahead. They don't think they would be good at thinking steps ahead. Like they think steps ahead of you in the moment though. Like ESFPs are excellent at being steps ahead of you in the moment. Like if it's sports or something like that, and even it only got to be sports. It can just be anything. They can be a step ahead. Like Elite SC is like can be a step ahead of people and stuff like that in the moment, or it can be in conversation. But as far as being a villain, I don't think they would have as much of a desire to be a villain because they like real laid back. Really, ESFP just want to enjoy life. But I say F tier. They don't think they'd be good. I think they get caught real quick because they'll slip up and get sloppy. You know what I'm saying? ESCJ, another really good villain henchman. They'd be a better henchman than ESFJ. They'd be right under the ENTJ as far as being the henchman. So I'm gonna put them at A tier. Yeah, they'd be pretty. ESCJs, yeah, they'd be a henchman. Um, ESTP, ESTPs are weird because it's almost like an ESTP would become a villain just because they bored. Like they want to see what it's like to be. Like I don't think they would do it consciously, but that's kind of how they are. I think they like unconsciously do stuff like that because out of boredom. Like I think they kind of like unconsciously want to see what it's like they want to experiment. So they'll be like you'll see ESTPs. They might do some bad things and stuff like that here and there, but they're not like bad people. But they'll do. It's almost like they want to see what's going to happen if they try something that people consider bad or something like that. But as villains, I think they'd be a pretty good villain. Um, there are some villains in fiction that are ESTPs. I don't know. I can't really. For some reason, my brain is acting weird today. I can't. I think because I'm very tired, but um, I just work like 13 hours straight. But my brain isn't firing right now. But there are definitely quite a lot of ESTP villains. They make pretty good heroes too, though, so they can kind of go either way. Let's say, hmm, good one. Let's say B or A. Let's say A tier. I think they're pretty good as villains. Um, but yeah, INFJ, INFJ would probably make pretty good villains because you wouldn't even know that they're villains at first. It'd be hard to tell that they're villains. And the way they would be villains, they would be thinking like 20 years into the future with their plans. Like, I think they'd be pretty hard to stop. You know, they say Hitler's an INFJ or whatever. Um, that being said, I might have to go S. I'm not trying to, people that get offended easily anytime you say anything about INFJs. I mean, whatever, man. Like I said, this is not to be taken seriously. This is all fun and games. INFP, INFP, good natured people. They can be pretty ruthless, kind of like the ENFP if they are villains. Um, very gentle people. I don't think it's that common for them to be villains. I don't think of INFP when I think of villain. I play D tier. I don't think they go that high. They kind of would feel like a neutral party. INTJ, hmm, they would. Hmm, I'd say INTJ probably second place next to the ENTJ, but who make the best villain? Yeah, they gotta go S tier. They're second place. There's a lot of INTJ villains too. Like Doctor Doom's an INFJ. You know what I'm saying? I mean INTJ. Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is probably one of the greatest Marvel villain of all time. Yeah. So INTP. INTPs as villains, they would be pretty deadly. An INTP villain that comes I can think of off the top of the head, the Riddler. He's an INTP villain. But I don't think there's a ton of INTP villains, but if they are villains, they'd be really pretty deadly. They're real smart. Um, but Spider Man is an INTP though. Beast is an INTP. Those are heroes, but I'll say that for another video. They tend to be some of my favorite characters in fiction. I like INTP characters. Doctor Manhattan's INTP. He's kind of a neutral. He's not really a hero or a villain, but I'm into superheroes, so I say they go C tier. They can kind of go either way with them. Um, oh well, I was talking about who would make good villains. I think they'd be pretty good at villains. They would, yeah, they would outsmart you. ISFJ, they would suck as villains. I think if they wanted to be villains, I think they be kind of. I wouldn't say they move as sloppy as an ESFP, but they wouldn't do a good job as villains. So I think they go either E or F tier. Yeah. Um, ISFP, ISFPs as villains, they would be pretty. They would be loose cannons. That FI and that SC, there'd be some loose cannons as a villain. One that comes to mind, probably Broly. Um, yeah, Broly's a ISFP. Um, probably loose cannon and like unstoppable villain. Um, now you be able to defeat them. You probably just have to outsmart them. So I don't think they would make like very useful villains. You just had to outsmart them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe C. Um, yeah. ISTJ. I can't think of any ISTJ villains up top there, but I think they probably make pretty good villains. They'd be real organized and calculating. I think in a way, so they have their stuff together. But maybe they go. hmm, I don't think they would have as much desire to be villains. Yeah, they can probably go to ISFP. Maybe a little higher, either B or C. Um, maybe being a little generous. Um, ISTP, my type. Nobody's going to E tier. I gotta put the INFP. Well, anyway, I don't know. My type. So as far as my type, you see an ISTP villain, we tend to kind of just be like we're the best anti-heroes, but as villains, usually in fiction, like when the ISTP is a villain, it's something like we get hired because we got skills or something like that that can be useful to the villain, and we just kind of doing it. Just we not really take it's nothing personal. We doing it for because we got hired, type thing. Usually we hired as an assassin or something like that. That's what it is in fiction usually. Um, I say B because I think if we were villains, we'd be pretty tough to beat. Um, hmm, that's hard to say because I don't want to put everybody up there. Maybe I'll put A or B, but I don't think it's super likely for us to be villains though. But who did they say was a villain? That was they say that people were saying Bane is a villain. ISTP villain. Um, we like most of the time we're anti-heroes. You'll see most ISTPs as anti-heroes. We're the pretty much the anti-hero. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't got nobody in E tier. Yeah, I guess ESFP can go E tier. Yeah, pretty much E tier. ISFJs, yeah, they don't have it in them rather to be villains anyway. But anyways, let me know what y'all think. Um, yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.